WrestleTalk!
Is that one of the best wrestling pay-per-views ever? What is happening in my ears? Okay, that's what's happening. I'm still listening to AFI on Spotify. Oh my God. I can't hear anything. What have I done? I've closed Spotify.
Oh, dear.
Tempest, I cannot hear you.
Oh, dear. We were fine a second ago. What's happened?
What's happening to my... Is it off my phone? What is playing the music in my ear?
Oh, dear.
It's not that.
What did you all think of the show? Well, Ollie sits there freaking out.
There's got to be
figure it out.
Something open somewhere.
I promise y'all, we were fine like 2 minutes ago.
Tempest,
none of this was
introduce the show.
So this is a review. Welcome all. This is our review of AEW Revolution. What a show! I don't know how I'm supposed to just prep the. We're going to be talking about CM Punk and MJF first. Are you better at all? Better? Yes? Yay? No? No? Okay. Whatever. We're talking about MJF and CM Punk first. What a goddamn match. So if you have any thoughts that you want, he's just reacting. All right. I have an idea. I know how we can get Ollie to be able to give his actual thoughts on this show. What did you think of that MJF CM Punk dog collar match, Ollie?
Oh my God. That was good.
Great review. Moving on, I guess. Just filling for time. How did this happen? I've never seen him so befuddled.
Okay. Right.
Damn it, Ollie.
You can hear me.
Yeah.
But you talk. Can you hear yourself echoing back?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, great. We'll do it. We'll call it this way. We'll do it in the ring. We're live, God damn it. Whenever we put these on, there is something happen. Something is playing in my ear, and I can't hear you. Anyway, okay. More importantly than any of that, and even AEW Revolution, this episode is brought to you by Wrestling GM. It's a wrestling booking game for your phone. You know, like that sort of fantasy managers. You ever play Football Manager, Tempest?
Nope.
It's like there's loads of different promotions, fictional promotions that you can choose from. You're like, I'm going to book this promotion. I, earlier, was booking... Oh my God, is that the music? Is that what I'm hearing on my phone? Is it the game? Tempest, keep talking to me.
Okay. I promise y'all, we will talk about Revolution at some point.
I fixed it. It was the game. It's because I was playing the game.
What a plug. He just can't stop playing the game.
I just can't stop. It's too good. Wrestling GM. It is a game where you choose your promotion. You book shows. So I've timed out a 100-minute TV episode here. Look, I've got my little opening 6-man tag here. You choose your roster. You get like angles and segments. And you can... Look, I've got a dog collar main event that I booked for 35 minutes in the main event in honor of our opening bit. Start show, and then it plays it through for you and rates the segments based on how you're doing. So it's judging you as a fantasy booker. It's a great game. I'll do a bit more about it shortly, but the link is in the video description below. That's wrestlingGM.app. Have a search for it on iOS or Android. Right, sorry about the technical difficulties.
What do you think of this show?
As you can see on the live reactions last night, I had a whale of a time. I think God damn, like the last 3 pay-per-views AEW have done, it feels like 3-4 years ago with NXT TakeOver. It's like,
Yep.
how are they getting better? I mean, I still actually prefer All Out 2021. I think that's still the best show. But man, top to bottom, this was probably the most balanced show, actually, because I feel All Out was very weighted in the surprises with Suzuki, Cole, Ruby Soho, Danielson.
Right.
Full Gear was more the matches for me. But then this pay-per-view had that balance of both. You had Swerve, you had William Regal is the biggest one. And my God, top to bottom banger matches. How about you?
Yeah, I kind of I feel the same way. After Full Gear, I'd kind of come to the conclusion that AEW pay-per-views were going to be like the new generation version of like PWG shows where they just give like all 8 matches like 15 to 20 minutes and just say, go have the best match. No, like, okay, here's your 6-minute opener. No, here's another match. And then here's the cool down. No, it's just go to the ring, have the best match you can. Every match gets time. This pay-per-view, I didn't quite feel exactly the same way just because there were a few matches that were a little bit shorter. Like the Jade match was only like 6 minutes or so. But that being said, I think the NXT TakeOver comparison is a bit more apt now. It's just like 3 hours longer than an NXT TakeOver was, you know?
The only criticism for me.
Yeah.
Is it same with you?
Yeah, I don't like super long pay-per-views, but them only having 4 of them a year does make it like, okay, I can deal with it. But that being said, like takeovers just hit like 2.5 to 3 hours, like perfect. Get out of there, bite-sized shows every time. You never felt like you were tired of watching them. This one, you get to the end, and you're just kind of like, whew, that's a lot. It's a lot of matches, especially on this show because they had 12 matches on this show, pre-show included anyway. And at least they had an extra hour, but still, that's a lot of matches. That's a lot of time. But I'm not going to complain that much because, hey, if you're going to have a long show to have all these matches on it, I'll take it.
I just disagree with long shows. I watched the Batman about 3 hours before starting AEW Revolution. So I had a long content day. But after the Batman, like my friends were like, that is too long. It could have been half an hour shorter and it wouldn't it would have been fine. But I was actually quite a Batman maximalist there. I was like, I could have done a half hour more, just like keep that coming at me. I loved every second. But with wrestling, I think a lot of people are like that. Like, hey, I just want to get drunk, watch all the wrestling with my friends. I don't care how long it is. I love wrestling. There is no limit to the amount I can consume in one sitting. I'm not that guy. I am a guy. And I feel like you can see it in the crowd as well, because as soon as Punk MJF finishes, and Danielson speaks about this in his Wrestling Observer interview from Friday, which I recommend so much to everybody. It's a fascinating listen. He says, exciting matches do not tire out the crowd. When you're like, oh my God, that tag match. And then, oh my God, the ladder match. Danielson doesn't see that as a problem. What is a problem is following an emotional match. That's when the crowd struggle to get back into something. And after Punk MJF happened, about 2 hours, 20 minutes into the show, obviously the women's title match suffered a lot. I felt it was one of the weakest experiences on the show. And then it took a while for Moxley and Danielson to get good. I think if I watched that in isolation, that might be my match of the night. But watching it in context of the show, I was exhausted. And it wasn't until the end and, Regal coming out that really woke me up.
Yeah, I agree. I hadn't thought about it that way, because obviously I've been to a lot of shows that have had a lot of like really good matches and then followed it by something else. Like, hell, I was at the Royal Rumble 2018 when Shinsuke Nakamura won, and then they brought out like the Seth Rollins Jason Jordan match the next match, and you could like hear a pin drop in that building. Everyone was just like, they might as well have been asleep. So it's really interesting because I do agree. I do think that, if you look up and down this card, you could follow a great match with another great match and another great match, and people weren't really getting tired after the first few. Like Eddie and Jericho was really good, and people weren't tired. The tag match was really good. Ladder match was really good. But once you hit like that really emotional peak of the dog collar match, it was kind of, again, that was also like, I don't know, 3 hours into this show or so, if you include the pre-show. So you're nearing the end of most people's kind of expiration time for wrestling shows anyway. So to hit your peak emotionally and have it be at the 3 hour mark, I think was, you got to do it at some point, because I don't know that this was going to ever main event the pay-per-view. So it's like, where do you put it? What match is going to suffer because of it? And that's just kind of the nature of the beast. But I do agree. I do think the women's title match suffered because of it.
Well, shall we talk about, arguably the emotional main event of the entire card, and that is MJF CM Punk. Just as a quick rundown, CM Punk came out. First of all, cult of personality here. And you can see me on the live reactions. I'm just into it. I'm like, what are my eyes? And then freaking it turned into MJF's music. And MJF came out like, you piece of crap. And then I was like, oh, that's difficult because you've just had the cult of personality pop. You can't just play it again because they had something so much better. The track that I've been listening to all morning is CM Punk's old Ring of Honor track, which I actually don't know the name of. It's the AFI song.
Yeah, Miseria Cantare. As soon as things started and it was clear that they weren't going to play Cult of Personality a second time, I was just like, they're doing it. Because this whole, like, the last few weeks of this rivalry has had very strong Ring of Honor vibes, and that's not by accident. You know, this whole rivalry is very reminiscent of Punk's rivalry with Raven and Ring of Honor. And of course, we get the Ring of Honor news and everything from Tony Khan. So it's a very Ring of Honor time in AEW regarding something like this. And man, I think one of the shows that we did together doing AEW last year, I said that my favorite moment, I think it was of the Bryan Danielson Kenny Omega match, was when he went up there and he said, I have till 5, referee. And all the people said it with him. When Punk goes out on that stage and he looks up and can hear people singing his Ring of Honor theme, and he smiles, I melted. Have you
seen in the media conference afterwards and how Punk started crying because of that Ring of Honor sound? He's just so happy to have that part of his history in his sort of not his ownership, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. I never ever thought I would see CM Punk weeping because he loved pro wrestling so much. What? Imagine like fantasizing about all this a year ago. Like if someone says, okay, we're going to have a dog collar match on pay-per-view with CM Punk coming out with his old Ring of Honor theme in his Ring of Honor gear, and he's going to have one of the best matches on the show in one of the best rivalries in AEW, and he's going to cry because he loves wrestling. That sounds like a ridiculous fantasy. That sounds like, we can do this, and then we can have this guy do whatever. It's perfect. And I love that the fans of AEW, the ones that go to pay-per-views at least, because these are the hardcore of the hardcore fans, they appreciate stuff like this. They're wrestling fans. If CM Punk came out to his Ring of Honor music in WWE, no one would know what he's doing. Why is he coming out to this weird goth song? Comes out to an AEW and there's people singing to it, to a song he hasn't used in like over a decade, like almost decade and a half. It's really, really special that this sort of thing can happen and also be appreciated.
Just to compare it to something in WWE, not that, we like to do that often, but I think a reason this works so perfectly here, I'll compare it to Edge versus The Miz. When Edge came out with the Brood entrance, I'm like, you're doing the Brood entrance because you dumped viscous liquid on The Miz. It's not really that. It doesn't make sense. It's so superficial in the nostalgia elements. But man, like this all made perfect sense within the story. The story itself was just what a match. Both of them tied to each other by the chain, the dog collar throughout. Punk bled an absolute gusher. Like, he is a hell of a bleeder. The thumbtack spot was wonderfully worked. Both men teased going into that so much. But I said on Thursday, I was like, I see this match ending based on the story where MJF kind of proves himself to Punk. Punk kind of accepts him, but has to put him down in the end. And I was like, I wouldn't like Wardlow to be too much of a factor in that part of the story. I feel like that's a separate story. But, you know, the way they did it was amazing anyway. Wardlow comes down. MJF's calling for him. He wants the diamond ring. And Wardlow's like, he's just won the ladder match earlier. And he's like, oh, no, I haven't got it. And MJF's like, what? And he turns round into, what was it? Something in the thumbtacks. I can't remember.
It was the GTS.
GTS.
He hit the GTS and just took a back bump into the thumbtacks and had one of the best faces of a thumbtack sell that I've seen since like Randy Orton took it.
Yeah.
You just see his eyes, like the light is leaving his eyes as he's lying in those tacks.
Anyway, after that, Punk looks at Wardlow and Wardlow's like, it's here. It's here in my pocket, the ring. And he just he doesn't hand Punk the ring. He put the ring on the apron and walked off. And Punk looked at him like, all right, decked MJF with the diamond ring. There's your poetic justice. I think MJF spat at him before that. So it was that lovely bit of defiance there. MJF bitter to the very end, refusing to grow. And yeah, Punk won. And it was you were saying off air, it was your favorite match of the night.
I think so. I might need to let this show marinate a little bit more because Lord knows there are a lot of options to pick from on this show, the mark of a true great show. But this was like really special. I would like to think that they will now separate for a while. They'll do something else. They'll find something else to do. Maybe CM Punk will face Wardlow one-on-one again before they fully go their separate ways. But I would think that maybe a championship gets added to this picture and then they come back together later in the year, maybe 6 months from now. Maybe you do like Punk MJF it all out for the title or something like that. But man, from the week after Full Gear to this has been like one of those rivalries that you will remember. Everyone kind of thought like, oh yeah, CM Punk MJF, like that's going to be really good. It's been really good. Like
it's definitely
fantastic rivalry with a fantastic match.
It's definitely the best feud. I always thought, recent memory, it's Ciampa Gargano for me, that mixture of history, character, story, and a series of matches. But now it's this. Punk MJF. I said all they had to do was have a 4.5-star match. That's all you have to do. And it's not as good as the Chicago one for me, but 4 3/4 easy. So yeah, it's my favorite wrestling program ever. So
wow.
as far as where they go next, I think it's quite clear Wardlow is now he's gonna get the TNT title shot in 2 weeks' time. Then you imagine he's going to enter something with MJF. With CM Punk, and that's the title, the thumbnail of this video, is he going for the world title next? A couple of months ago, he said, I want to go for Hangman Page, but I've got to sort out this MJF problem first. So I feel like now, based on everything Punk's done, I was going to say he's undefeated, but he lost twice. I think Punk has to go in to a feud with Hangman Page because Hangman Page has not had a credible threat for me yet. I never thought Danielson was going to win it because I thought it was too early. Lance Archer was not built up enough. Adam Cole didn't feel like the right time. But you put Hangman Page in a feud with CM Punk, I'm like, Punk could win that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm weary of putting Punk in with Hangman right now because I've really liked all the matches that Hangman has done as champion. But as champion, in the big matches, whether it be with Adam Cole or Bryan Danielson, I felt like Hangman has been like the second biggest star of a lot of his title defenses. And I don't think putting him in a match with CM Punk is going to fix that problem. And I don't know. Something about that just makes me think that it would more or less have people kind of maybe not turning on Hangman, but having to choose between them. Pardon me. Oh my God.
Did you know this? Sorry to interrupt. Did you know this in the main event? Hangman Page got quite a few boos near the end. It's Florida, I guess. That's coal country.
It's coal country. I think if they weren't in Florida, I mean, it was going to be split no matter what. People like Adam Cole.
Well, it wasn't split. They cheered for both guys.
They just cheered for Adam. Funny fans. You fans are. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what if you go straight into see it because you can only have someone win for so long without giving them a title shot in AEW just because they will reach the top of the standings and then what do you do? So I don't know. The double babyface dynamic of Hangman versus Punk, it makes me weary. I'm sure the match would be fantastic, and I think eventually you do have to put the title on Punk. Like maybe not this year, but you got to do it at some point because he's just having like a fantastic little career renaissance here. I don't know. I don't know if you do it at the pay-per-view. I don't know if you do it before then. I don't know what, but I think a title shot's probably in his future anyway.
I think you've got a real story there as well, but a lot of character conflict to dive into. I don't think Hangman Page does drink, but I don't think he is happy about that. And then you've got Punk, who's like, I'm straight edge. Hey, you want to get over your demons? I've had my demons. You need to cut out the booze. And you sort of build it around that. I don't know. If not the world title, then where do you think Punk goes?
I don't know, because he doesn't have like an opposite just waiting for him, because we've now seen him go through a number of pay-per-view cycles. And yeah, you could just have, CM Punk against Sammy Guevara, CM Punk against the House of Black. Just pick anybody and they'll probably be like great matches. Like I think they could do like they usually do like a short TV feud for a lot, like the CM Punk and Team Taz feud, where it's like it leads you through like the month after a pay-per-view before we start ramping up for the next pay-per-view. I think we could see like a short CM Punk rivalry against someone like that. Like maybe not the House of Black, but I want to see Malachi Black and CM Punk. That sounds fun.
Yeah.
God.
Well, what about you? You mentioned having him go against Wardlow. I think that's a great shout. I think Punk can say, hey, I beat you. I deserve a shot at your TNT title if you're, we're so connected now. And then I would, I think Wardlow should then beat Punk. That would be a great way to put over Wardlow in a TNT title reign if that goes that way. But also, like, what would you say to maybe Punk and MJF having a three-way feud with Wardlow around the TNT title?
I think it's difficult because I think you could do that. I don't know. I feel like if you put the TNT title in Punk's like view right now, it kind of takes him off track a little bit from where he's kind of been driving recently. Like you said, he wants the AEW world title. He's doing this after the match. He's pantomiming the title. I think that is his direction. I don't know if he's going to be like, oh, there's another title and Wardlow wins it. That's if Wardlow wins the TNT title. We don't know that. We still have to get to that point first. But CM Punk did the promo weeks ago where he said that I want a rematch against Wardlow. So they still have that to do. There's like a weird respect between them. And I think you have to do that before Punk moves on. So I think the next month could possibly be just like wrapping up Punk's little feud with the Pinnacle and more or less just capping that off with a match with Wardlow. And then let maybe MJF isn't even on TV for like a month.
I wouldn't mind that. I think that would be quite good. I mean, obviously I want him on TV all the time, but any other points to say about the match before we dive into the chats? Got plenty of them.
This ranks high on my all-time list of entrances. I'll be honest. I love it. I love it so much. I'm talking about this entrance all day.
You could probably just do a 10 best CM Punk entrances, right?
Yeah, probably.
The
Like,
Return is number 1.
yeah. This would be high.
Yeah.
You know, Money in the Bank would be up there. Oh,
Uh-huh.
God, there's a lot.
Oh.
What a lot of great moments.
Right, let's get over to your thoughts on the show. The Omegachats, WrestleTalk.com/support. Please send in your thoughts there. We'll read out every single one. Over $5. None of the Canadian stuff, Tempest. I don't respect it as a currency.
Neither do I. Not right now, anyway.
Killwalker 2019 has been a Memberg for 7 months. Enjoyed the show. Later. Love WrestleTalk. Plan R. The Dragon Mox Regal faction has to be called Regal Gun or Regal Goon, maybe.
Regal Goon.
Oh. Benjamin John Milne. Fun fact, Eddie Kingston's favorite band is AFI. Mayor of Painesville, Dan. Hey guys, I hope you are well. Coming in off the greatest wrestling show ever to be produced, and then AEW Revolution just happened hours later. Of course, Dan was at WXW over the weekend.
Yep.
Kidding. Gonna be honest, Revolution after 3 days of non-stop wrestling was hard. Regal is king.
I'm so happy he's here.
Looks like he's gonna be called Lord Regal.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. It had William Regal on like the graphic, the all elite graphic and stuff. So.
Josh Roberts, what an amazing night of wrestling last night. Probably the best night of wrestling I've watched. What do you think about the possibility of Regal bringing in Joe or Cesaro to join this Danielson and Mox faction?
I think there's like so many ways you could go with this possible faction. I'm weary of not loading it up with established stars, because that's not the point. That's not Danielson's point. You know, of course, they could just have this little trio and have them just be a tag team. That's one possibility. But if you're going to add more people to this faction, I would like it to be like, well, you know, what Bryan Danielson pitched. Add Lee Moriarty. Add Wheeler Yuta. You know, I need the young guy. You got to add like the Randy Orton to this group. You know, the young guy that's going to be the star.
I agree. Zooey sung, Jade as Jade made me smile so wide as a FGC dweeb. What's FGC?
Oh God, my brain's not working. What is it, chat? FGC? This is a video game, some sort. I'm sure.
Well, as JR pointed out, looks like a superhero.
Yeah.
Luke was very offended by that. Think Jade is my new favorite. Nothing was bad. This was my favorite pay-per-view ever. Still think Jericho isn't a heel, Tempest? Also, LAX is siding with Jericho solely off them needing him. Head nod said so.
Well, he was definitely a heel in this match. Absolutely. I maintain that in the lead up to this, I don't think Jericho had turned heel. I don't think he was still like wanting to fighting game community. There we go. That makes sense. Thank you, chat. I don't think that he was like a full on heel before this, but he certainly was in this match. Yeah, I don't think I would like LAX to separate at this point. Like if I had an idea at one point, and I won't go too into detail about this, but instead of having the inner circle all break off, like have Santana and Ortiz say like, you've gotten soft, Chris, you know, you're pandering to the people instead of doing what needs to be done to be on top, and have Jericho be like, you know what, you're right. All right, the inner circle, but now we're focused on you. Like Santana and Ortiz are the pushed ones, and the whole faction's kind of like dedicated to making sure that they get the tag titles, and the focus is on them. But as heels again, I think he could have done something like that. But if we're not going to get something like that, I just want more focus put on Santana and Ortiz. And if they got to break up, you got to do it.
Poor old Jake Hager. You know, Jericho's been champion. Sammy Guevara's TNT champ. If you're pushing Santana and Ortiz for the tag belts, Jake Hager's like, hey guys, could I like MMA? Zoe again. I didn't notice a crowd drop. I was watching with boyfriend, so they did seated steppies. Best spot, yes. Seated steppies.
What is a seated steppy? I'm so tired. My brain's still not working. I'm like, what is that? I have to think about it.
I had a stupid amount of fun from everything. I don't know, watching alone might change my mind, but wrestling pay-per-views are meant to be watched in groups, in my opinion. Totally agree. That's why we do the live reactions, so we can all do it together. Ben Vlerick. Cole seriously needs to stop spamming his finishers. Panama Sunrise on the outside, in the ring, followed by the knee, and a kick out, and a kick out. Flashbacks to the ridiculous matches with Gargano.
I mean, those matches were good.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, you can say there's too much finisher spamming, and there probably is. But when the matches are this good, that's just kind of the main event style now. People are going to kick out of finishers, so get with the times, man.
We'll keep getting in your chats to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one before the end of the show. Over $5 US. But before we get into the rest of the card, go over and download Wrestling GM. Look, I'm pointing at the graphic on the screen now. It is a wrestling fantasy booking general manager style game. You can book your own shows. I'm reading the description now of the fight card tab. So you decide who becomes the champion of your roster and who wins. You take control of the strategic and creative control of a wrestling company and the whole, you've got different tabs. Fight tab, the corporate tab, the most exciting bit when you work out all the little intricacies of the backstage things. Ability to manage and direct the career of wrestlers in the company in your roster tab. The game features 500 unique wrestlers with rich backstories over 20 companies spanning the USA, Canada, Mexico, Europe, and Japan. And you can make your own creator wrestlers too for your own fantasy wrestling universe. It's so cool to dive into some of the promotions. It's an unbelievable amount of thought has gone into this. So I'm just completing my show there. Oh,
he just can't stop playing the game.
Can I go back? Well, I can show you the roster. It doesn't have his. Oh yeah, it has his bio there. So this is just one promotion of 20, and it's got the roster there. Loads of people. Some of them look like Tempest. And I'm going to choose, who's my champ? Where is he? Action Hero. And you can plan his management. They can turn him heel or face. All a little bit. It shows how many fans he has. And you can, hopefully over time, if you book him well, those fans increase. But it has a little bio. And honestly, every one of these wrestlers has a really in-depth story.
Yeah. That's very impressive when you realize how much work that actually is. Yeah, write 1,000 Pokedex entries while you're at it and double the length.
And it really helped. If you want to go really deep into it, you use that bio to influence the story you're going to tell. Incredibly rewarding. Yeah, so go to WrestlingGM.app. You can download that on your iPhone or Android device and check out Sicko Games as well. The link's in the video description for them too. They're the people who made it. Right, so we might have to pick up the pace on this because there are 11 matches to talk about.
It's a 5-hour pay-per-view. Got to get through it.
So let's do the buy-in first. Legit Layla Hirsch defeated Chris Statlander. I really liked this match. I really got into it. I thought Statlander was going to win, but Hirsch cheated using an actual turnbuckle from under the ring and got the win. So Hirsch is sort of being positioned for I don't think she will be, but pushed to that sort of next shot against Britt Baker.
Yeah, I really like Layla Hirsch. I'm really happy that now she's getting the opportunity to win and pick up some steam, hopefully get a little bit more to do. I also think Chris Statlander has improved leaps and bounds over the last 2 years. I wasn't the biggest fan of, I think I just didn't like the gimmick at first, but I wasn't the biggest fan of Chris Statlander when I saw her for the first time in AEW. Now she's one of my favorites. She has good matches every time. This was another one of them. If she had to lose, I also thought she might win because I think she might be the one that beats Jade, possibly at some point. I don't know that that's going to be soon, but I think it's a possibility. I think she's a contender for a title. But this was Layla Hirsch's night. And I like that she didn't just get like the little mini push to build up to her little feud and then lose and probably go back to, her spot before where she just wasn't really on TV. At least she got a big win. It was on the pay-per-view buy-in, but it's still on a really big show.
In the space of like 2 minutes last night, we had chats on the live reactions that described Layla Hirsch as a female Chad Gable, a female Kurt Angle, and a female Taz. She's doing something right.
I like the Taz one, yeah.
Yeah. She should be recruited to Team Taz.
I've been thinking this for years. Yeah. She should be in Team Taz.
After that, we had Hook taking on QT Marshall. Went 5 minutes exactly. Because if you tell Hook to go wrestle a 5-minute match, he's not working a second over. It's the classic Hook stuff. Did a bit of selling, probably the most selling he's done so far. It's his highest profile match. But yeah, one with the red rum.
Yeah. I mean, it's simple. It's exactly what you were going to expect. And it was exactly what it should have been. I love Hook.
The final match on the buy-in, 3 matches on the buy-in, was House of Black versus Death Triangle, Sans Phoenix with Eric Redbeard. You can kind of fill in the blanks. Ray Phoenix was meant to be recovered by now. He obviously wasn't. So they called up Redbeard and popped him in the match.
Yeah, and again, I said this in the Rampage review. I thought this was like a strange addition to this trio. I would have picked a lot of people before I would have guessed Eric Redbeard for this match. But, I mean, he did his job. I think he played off of the opposite of Brody King very well. Try that again. I think he and Brody King worked really well together as, the opposing big men of each team. And then each guy on either team had a really good opposite across from them. Of course, I got to see Pac wrestle Buddy Matthews, and that was just one of the most dynamic combinations you could put together. I just saw that and I was like, yes, please give me this in like a hour-long Iron Man match. This match was a lot of fun. And I didn't know how different this match was going to be from like the later trios match, but they were very, very different.
Yeah, this was really good. 17 minutes, so a proper pay-per-view match on the buy-in. Probably one of the best pre-show matches I've ever seen, to be honest. Like up there with remember when the Usos and the New Day matches, or was the Rhodes Brothers match on a pre-show once? Am I making that up? Maybe that was on a main card. Ignore me. But yeah, really good stuff. I thought they just overdid it by a couple of minutes. I felt like the finish came and then they did a few minutes more. But that's a very, very nitpicky thing to point out. House of Black won with was the Mist involved?
Yeah, they misted Redbeard.
That was it. Redbeard took the pin, as he should have. And yeah, I presume we'll get a full House of Black versus Death Triangle when Phoenix is recovered.
I would imagine so. I thought this match, again, was really fun. I thought they kind of got lost at one point. There was a spot where Redbeard was just kind of like standing in the ring, looking at like Black and Murphy on the other side, and they were just kind of like having a conversation. And Redbeard would like talk to the referee, and this happened for like a minute. And I was like, are they all just trying to coordinating? Like, did we get off track, and do we need to figure out what part of the match we're in or something? I don't know what that was about, but it didn't detract that much from the match for me, and I do think that trios match will probably be even better.
You think Redbeard will stick around?
No, I don't personally, but I like that. I like that they can have people just kind of like guest appearances. I said that on the Rampage review. It's okay to have a guest star.
Totally agree. The main card kicked off with my match of the night, Eddie Kingston versus Chris Jericho. They went 13, 15 minutes. And from the first move of the match, Eddie Kingston's sort of classic entrance, I'm just walking down here, half and half suplex, dropped Jericho right on the top of his head. And, immediately, like, what the like that wasn't meant to go that way. Meltzer says that was exactly the plan. Jericho knew what he was signing up for. The whole idea was to make you think, oh crap, Eddie just legit tried to kill someone. That's what Eddie brings to his matches over anybody else. I believe this guy is trying to really hurt the other person. And they just they had an incredible, not only an incredible match, but a really, really emotionally satisfying story. It was all about Eddie can't win the big one. And he hit a spinning back fist at one point. He thought he had it won. And no, Jericho kicked out at 2.99999. And Eddie's there like, please tell me that was 3. Please. And all of a sudden he's like, and I thought, oh no, he's getting in his own head. He's going to lose it. But then Jericho tried to cheat. Kingston tapped him out with, help me out here, Tempest.
I don't even know. Like, this wasn't like one of Eddie Kingston's AEW finishers or anything. He just kind of bent his arm back over his knee. And I mean, yeah, that'll do it.
Excalibur said it was. Sometimes I confuse you with Excalibur. This is why.
A lot of people tell me that. Okay, I'm a white guy wearing a mask that knows about wrestling, but yeah, fair enough.
That's high praise. I love Excalibur.
Awesome.
Apparently, it was an All Japan wrestler finish or submission style finish. But yeah, when Eddie won, he did not believe, because Jericho tapped, which is, what a way to put over Eddie. And Eddie's like, I won. And he couldn't believe it. He didn't even register with him. And it was just a beautiful moment. It touched me in a way that even Punk MJF didn't manage to. So really, really good. And then Kingston, after that sort of bit, he goes right back to being douchebag Kingston. He's like, yeah, shake my hand then, you son of a bitch. Because Jericho said, if you beat me, I'll look you in the eye, say you were the better man, and I'll shake your hand. And Jericho walked off.
Not what I thought was going to happen, but it's interesting. I'm not a big fan of this iteration of babyface Jericho. So if they go back to a more heel Jericho, I think that'll probably be a better move. I would have liked, I don't know if it would have been better storyline wise, because I don't know where they're going, but I would have liked if Eddie's doing the same thing, like, oh, shake my hand then. And Jericho's like, all right, yeah, you beat me. Goes to shake his hand, and Eddie's just like, yeah, I still don't care. And walked away. Still defiant, just like, your respect means nothing to me, Chris Jericho. I will beat you and still not care about you. I don't know. I thought that would have been cool, but that's just me fantasy booking.
I think that is a really good idea. I think that this way, it's probably going to extend the feud. I could see a stip rematch. Everett Dudgeon has pointed out here, it was the stretch plum that Kingston used, a tribute to Kawada from
He is like the biggest All Japan fan ever. So
I love
that
it.
Tracks.
Full credit. I cannot put over Jericho enough in this as well, because he wrestled. This is probably my favorite Jericho match.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it more than the Omega matches in New Japan.
Wow.
Yeah. Favorite Chris Jericho match in, oh God, I can't think of how long.
I can't think of a Jericho match in AEW that I would have liked more. I don't think. You got to go back a long time.
This was also our first handshake spot with the news of Ring of Honor. It's all about the handshakes on this card.
Really wasn't it?
Yeah. Is he going to shake his hand? Is he not going to shake his hand? Is William Regal going to make you shake hands? After that, we had the tag match. Oh my God. The experience of watching this show was like, oh my God, after every match. There's another one. It's Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus defending their tag titles against Red Dragon and the Young Bucks. Insane innovation. Didn't have the emotional or the story side to it. This was pure just in-ring awe for me. But there was an element of character dynamics here, which is, and it's something me and Luke have said we don't usually enjoy, 3-way tag, only 2 people allowed in the ring. But for this story, it worked perfectly because the Bucks and Red Dragon had to kind of work together in a very awkward way, which just was building this powder keg of tension until it all exploded at the end. Jurassic Express retained.
Yeah, I think it is better on this show to have this be just like, we're just going to go out and have a great match instead of this being the big emotional climax of a big feud. You know, because again, you load up your pay-per-view with too many of those and you probably have a lot more burnout. So if this was just going to be like, yeah, we're just going to have like 3 great teams go out there and have a great match, I think that's a very, very good idea. And I really like, because we see the 2 heels teaming up to face, you know, the one baby face in a triple threat match, like all the time. Happens like every triple threat match. As soon as one of them goes for the pin, they're like, oh, what are you doing? That's not part of the plan. And then they fight. And yeah, that's exactly what we got here. Can I just say, I think Kyle O'Reilly might be like the king of the pantomime. Him explaining to Nick Jackson, like, what? You trying to get kick out? You don't pull me off of that? Like, I love it. I was watching that, just dying of laughter. This is one of my favorite matches in the whole show.
I would add, Kyle is the visuals guy, the facials guy. Yeah. Bobby Fish, though, master of the deadpan heckle.
Yeah, they mic'd the ring really well on this show. Like, people are just talking, and like, you wouldn't even need a microphone on this show.
Sorry, just to go back, they advertised Kenny Omega's comeback on the pre-show, and Don Callis came out instead. I was like, were you expecting somebody else? Brilliant. But he said that Adam Cole would win, and he'll be a transitional champion for Kenny. So building that Young Bucks and Kenny versus Undisputed Era feud.
Yep. Every time you get past the pay-per-view, it's just like, oh, well, what's coming next? Oh, yeah, we're getting the Elite and the Undisputed Era and everything.
That's a mark of a really successful booking, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not just a hell of a show. You're excited about the new future directions that it sets up.
Very much.
I'd just like to put over Jungle Boy in this as well. I thought he was outstanding. He did a few things, like 2 or 3 new moves I'd not seen him do before, or move combinations that just blew my mind.
Yeah, I think, again, it's very obvious that he's improved like so much. He's a fantastic wrestler now. Well, he was still pretty green when AEW started. Makes sense considering he was like a child, but he is like a really complete wrestler, and he does a lot of innovation. He's really like he's a perfect baby face. Can't imagine this team ever splitting up because I don't think Luchasaurus or Jungle Boy could ever go heel. They're just a perfect little babyface team. I love them very much. I really like the finish of this match. Like it was all just working really well. Again, as things just ramped up, you got to see a lot more of that innovation. You know, and again, these teams are really good at giving you things that you haven't seen before or haven't thought of as like a possibility, you know, in tag matches. Just more of this, please.
And then you're like, okay, I've had Kingston. I've had that 6-man buy-in. I've had Kingston Jericho. I've had that 3-way tag. Here comes the ladder match with all the big boys. This, like, all 3 of those previous matches, I'd say were almost on the exact same near 5-star level. The ladder match was a bit of a step down just because some bits were clunky for me. I think I went in with too high expectations. I saw this and I just thought North American title ladder match from NXT. And it was nowhere close to that. But it had its spots, it had its moments, and it was really, really enjoyable. And Wardlow won.
I predicted it. I got that point in Wrestle League thinking, yeah, I like this match. Again, it's not close to the North American title ladder match, but I also think that's like the best ladder match of all time. So, again, it's a high standard to try and reach, but I thought this match was still very fun. They did a lot of spots that, again, I hadn't thought of in ladder matches. And hey, big beefy boys in this ladder match. I like that they really leaned into like the beef of it. You just get the really big boys interacting with each other, and then you get one of the little ones that pops in the middle, and then he can get like thrown, in Orange Cassidy's case, way too far.
Oh my
Poor
God.
guy. I thought he was dead, but this to me was still a really fun ladder match with some clunky spots, some spots that are more dangerous looking than they probably should have been. Like, I don't think that powerbomb spot at the very end where Wardlow powerbombs Ricky Starks onto the ladder bridge, the release wasn't timed right, and Ricky Starks like went right down on his upper shoulders and neck and the back of his head and everything. Did not look good at all. But I mean, most of the time you'd think that spot would be pretty simple. You know, you just power bomb him, he kind of bounces on the ladder on the ropes, and then that's it. This looked like it sucked really bad.
Yeah, and Starks is someone with a very serious neck injury just last year. Orange Cassidy is apparently injured, the only injury coming out of the show. Don't know when it happened, but he was...
I would imagine we got thrown 20 feet and landed on the floor.
Yeah, probably that bit.
That would be my
Keith
guess.
Lee can throw people called Cassidy very, very far, it seems. Yeah. For all the height that he got on Isaiah, this had the length, the distance over the ropes, like sort of over Starks and Christian who were outside to catch him. I thought Cassidy had some great comedy spots in this. There was a wonderful moment where was it Keith Lee and Hobbs maybe had the ladder, and Orange Cassidy sort of skinned the cat up and then tried to grab the sonic hoop. But yeah, the finish was Keith Lee and Hobbs getting taken out by getting pushed off the stage through a table, and Wardlow won. I don't know if this is just me being a mark for Keith Lee, but I just feel like he is getting lost in the shuffle of AEW's roster.
Yeah, I mean, it's still early.
But that's the time to make a first impression.
I know, but everyone knows who Keith Lee is. You know, I don't think there's as much of a need to have him be just like, bang, huge feud, week one, let's go. Again, he wasn't like the number one featured performer of this match, and maybe he should have been. I don't know. To me, Keith Lee has like the most star potential of the people in this match. Is bloody Keith Lee, but at the same time, like if after this pay-per-view he still doesn't get something to do and feel more significant, then I'll agree with you. But for here, I think it's just early.
Well, you know what's gonna happen, don't you? It's a feud with Team Taz. It's a rite of passage into AEW. Not one that I'm particularly excited about. Luke is weirdly in the back end.
Hello.
What are you doing here, buddy?
Well, I just enjoyed the show so much that I was itching to talk about it.
How was your driving lessons?
Dead good, mate. It was dead
good.
Yeah. I'd highly recommend it.
So
also,
we just talked about
Ollie, I've just got why do you hate AEW so much? Like, it's the question that everyone is asking. Like, why do you have to consistently bury this product?
Because he's spending all his money on Ring of Honor now and not in my pocket. I'm being lost in all these bank transfers. After that ladder match, we got Jade Cargill taking on Tay Conti. Jade Cargill was dressed as a superhero, I believe.
No, she was dressed as Jade from Mortal Kombat. Ollie Davis. It was JR that said that she was dressed like a superhero, the big idiot that he is. Your Mortal Kombat, JR.
The first spot of this match was Jade snogging Tay Conti. So, you know, like, you're always concerned about, you want to have each match do something different, particularly a big spot to get the audience awake and into it. This was the equivalent of the half and half suplex from Eddie on Jericho.
Yeah, and also before we get into the actual match, I gotta give props for this entrance. Both the electric guitar This man was making love to this guitar. Like, just, it was singing. Oh, it was like angelic. And Jade came out and she would just ate this up. Oh, star power. Fantastic. And yeah, I thought this match was okay.
I ended up enjoying it more than I thought I would. I thought that, like, how long did they go? 7 minutes. A bit of a weird amount of interference, babyface interference, unprompted really from Anna Jay. But I just feel like it for some reason it worked for me. I think it's because Cargill attacked Anna first. But the last minute or two, I was on the edge of my seat a bit. I never thought Tay would win, but yeah, Jade retained in the end.
Yeah, it was like they did a really good job of making it look like Jade may lose. Like, I think everyone going into this match knew that Jade was winning because she's on the undefeated streak. She's getting the big push. There was not a cat in hell's chance that Ty Conti was winning this match. But credit to them, because some of those near falls towards the end, particularly off like the Anna Jay interference, and I think that's why the interference worked for me, is because it made for convincing near falls. I think if it had just been Ty Conti's pump kicks, I wouldn't have had that same reaction. I think that probably says a lot about the booking of Jade more than it does anything else, or perhaps maybe the booking of Ty Conti. But I thought it really worked for me. And this ended up being, like I thought, a really, really good match.
Yeah, I thought for this match in particular, I thought I wasn't super into like the unprompted babyface cheating. You know, I don't think a babyface
wasn't unprompted.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of like who cheats first, it's kind of, I don't think a babyface should ever cheat first in a match, unless you're like Eddie Guerrero or something, you know. So that she hit her with the chair, and I was just like, what? I was not expecting that whatsoever. But I thought this match did do a good job of kind of like putting Jade over as just like, you're just not going to beat her. You can hit her with your best shot, and she's going to kick out, you know. And there were a lot better near falls than I was expecting in a match that I did not think Ty Conti had any chance of winning. But we got some pretty decent near falls at the end. And I think those kind of near falls just help put Jade Cargill over that much more. And that's the goal of all this at this point.
The other thing that was set up from there, just before we do go on, the one thing that was set up from this is that they kept cutting to the skybox with Dan Lambert with his two lads and Paige Van Zandt, who's signing on Wednesday. And after this match, it made it pretty, I'd say almost clear, but they certainly hinted at that perhaps Paige Van Zandt versus Jade Cargill is the direction next for the TNT Championship, over the TBS Championship, which feels like it's a big program for Jade. It's a massive program to throw Paige into as well. But is it a good idea? I think is more the question that comes next.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. See if it plays off for him.
The Scorpio Skybox.
Aha. He's not winning on Wednesday.
No. Yeah, why do they even bother putting both Scorpio and Sammy on that graphic against Wardlow? We all know. After that, we got the Punk MJF match, which we've already covered. But that was, like after the Punk MJF match, that is 2 hours 20, I think, into the main show. So if you watch the buy-in, that's 3 hours 20. So as Tempest was saying, it's that like killer mix of actual exhaustion and emotional exhaustion from what you've just watched. And Baker and Thunder Rosa, they went 17 minutes. It was a tough spot to be in, and I don't think they had the match. That maybe there's a world, because even Danielson and Moxley struggled in the match afterwards, I would say. But yeah, Baker and Rosa just never really found its footing. And I would say it was although like Hirsch and Statlander was probably the least best match, I felt this match was the weakest experience because the crowd was spent, and I don't think the story's been there either.
No. I'll be perfectly honest. Like a lot of people have been really hard on Britt Baker's title reign, and I think that some of them have been, slightly unfair. I've been a fan of Britt Baker and everything she's doing. I cannot handle the interference in these matches anymore. the straw broke the camel's back with like the Ruby Soho match, and that was 6 months ago. And we're getting the same goddamn finishes in every Britt Baker title defense. You know, like
She doesn't
this
need
point,
it.
she doesn't need it. She's Britt Baker. She's the face of the women's division. She should be able to just win a match, and she can't. She can't win a single match by herself. And at this point, it's greatly detracting from my enjoyment of her matches. Like, greatly.
I think, a few people, I mean, me and Ollie both predicted that Baker was going to win this because Rosa pinned her on Dynamite. And I just sort of I kind of just got the impression that I don't think Rosa is I think we thought maybe this is going to be the time, but I just got the impression that it didn't feel like the right time. And I think that's because, despite the fact that this has had effectively a year's build because they've kept them apart for a year, they only did something in the last couple of weeks, and it never had the heat that it should have had for the big rematch from their lights out match. And I guess now probably the reason why we know is because they're saving it for St. Patrick's Day Slam in a couple of weeks' time, because it's Rosa versus Hirsch on Dynamite this week, and the winner gets Baker at St. Patrick's Day Slam, 1 year on from the lights out match. And if that's the case, don't do this match here then.
Right.
Because all you've done really is just diminish that St. Patrick's Day Slam match.
Yeah, you've already got one women's match on this card. You don't
They
need
had
to
two.
do another one.
I know, they had 3 on this whole card.
What do you think to Hirsch getting... Hirsch defeated Statlander. She's the number 1 ranked woman or whatever it is. She's going to have the match against Baker. But then it's Rosa's now been added to that number 1 contenders spot. Rosa didn't win. It was a cheat. Baker cheated to win. But I'm just I think, I'm not a fan of that either.
I guess she got visual wins in the match, didn't she? Because she got a visual pin and a visual tap out. So
I don't care about those.
Well,
though,
I know. No, I agree.
They
with
never
you.
do it for me.
I know, and I completely agree with you. But I think the argument can be made though, because in a kayfabe world, that's why she's been given this other shot, is because she was screwed out of this championship match.
Yeah,
I would have booked all of this different. And this is separate from the booking. But for God's sake, what does a referee need to see to kick people out from ringside? What needs to happen? You do not get to get on the apron more than once.
If it was Aubrey.
Oh, man. Aubrey would have had them out there quick as a flash. But yeah, I've got to think it's a cage match, to stop the outside interference and give them just that clean finish.
After that, we had Jon Moxley taking on Bryan Danielson. They had a 21-minute match, so probably the third longest on the show. And it was whereas Jericho and Kingston was stiff in a sort of drop you on your neck kind of way, this was more like that Moxley, Danielson, Suzuki style, where it was more about stiff strikes as opposed to stiff bumps. And God, it was compelling. But I think myself, Luke, everyone watching it in the arena was still a little bit emotionally exhausted. But also this match was kind of you lent into it more and you just watched them beat the crap out of each other. Moxley bled an absolute gusher. Danielson was covered in Moxley's blood. Moxley did say in that promo, I'm not going to team with someone unless I've bled with them. And my God, did he bleed? I don't think Danielson bled, actually.
He just got blood on him because there was a lot of blood and he just got some of that blood onto him.
But the finish was Danielson had Moxley in a submission that I can't remember. Choke? Triangle?
Yeah, I think he made a triangle choke.
Yeah.
Moxley flipped it over, so Danielson's shoulders were trapped on the mat. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful finish for this story. It could have gone either way. And Danielson's annoyed afterwards. He's pushing the referee. Moxley and Danielson just start getting in a hockey fight right after. Loads of security guards come down. Ding, 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 ding. Break it up. And who should walk out from the side of the stage to break it up but William Regal. He gets in the ring. He slaps Moxley, and Danielson is like, "Ha ha, teacher told you off." And Regal turns around, slaps Danielson as well. And Danielson's face being slapped by the guy who trained him, just like his face fell. Regal forced them to shake hands. And now we've got one of the most exciting acts potentially with Regal as the mob boss to Danielson and Moxley.
Like, this started out as a really mouth-watering prospect anyway, because it was like, oh man, Danielson and Moxley as a faction with possibly Lee Moriarty and Daniel Garcia. That's a really, really cool idea. Oh man, I mean, I don't think they could top this. Oh, they've added William Regal as like the manager, the father figure of this. Yeah, you actually have made this better now. I totally didn't see it coming. I was really, really taken aback by it. I think you can, watch our reactions to it. We lost our minds. It was so cool. Like, the look on his face when he walked down to that ring, the look on Danielson's face, the selling of it, the crowd went ballistic. It was awesome. And apparently, like, he's going to be having like a major role, like not just on screen, but also backstage, which I think is a huge, huge boon for AEW.
Yeah.
Wonderful news. Wonderful news. I haven't seen something that I completely did not anticipate, because I had nothing about me thought, oh, William Regal is going to come in and be the manager of this little faction.
No reports either.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I've not seen something like that take me by surprise, but be like the most perfect fit possible. This was like, it fit like a glove. He's got the history with both guys, being like a mentor to both guys. It's William Regal, so like he fits with the AEW crowd. They would respect him more than like, well, if you just showed up in WWE in like the mid 2000s, like the fans are more inclined to respect William Regal for his body of work at this point. Hearing him get that pop was just, ooh, it was so cool. Like, the ending of the Britt Baker match was bogus and like the low point of the show. As much as I loved CM Punk MJF, I think this post-match segment was like the peak of the entire show.
Well, AEW is it's all about their debuts, isn't it? That's how that's the only way they could get pops these days, is to bring.
He didn't have a t-shirt. William Regal should have been wearing a t-shirt to sell.
I thought it was awesome. I cannot wait to see William Regal slap the taste out of Daniel Garcia's mouth, and it was like almost like a Get Serious Son promo on him. Oh, it's going to be good.
Well, like, that's the initiation to their faction. You get slapped by Regal.
Hell yeah.
Come here, sunshine.
Really exciting. Really exciting stuff. He wasn't the only signing on this show. Actually, earlier, Isaiah Swerve Scott, or Shane Swerve Strickland, was announced. He came out, sort of signed the contract with Tony, did a little bit of a Who's House promo. Good God, he looks so freaking cool in the suit and skinny tie. Yeah, absolute star power. I, can't wait for him to feud with Team Taz in about 3 weeks' time.
Hey, man, this guy against Ricky Starks, that sounds fun to me.
Yeah, I just love the fact that, Tony Khan standing on that ramp with a contract in his hand, being like, we've got a big signing here. Who could it possibly be? It says Swerve in massive like letters on the contract. Gee, I wonder who it could be, Tony. Spoil the surprise.
To their credit, that could just be a note, like a Vince Russo style note to themselves.
Remember to swerve, fans.
Remember to swerve, people.
This man. I don't want to be hyperbolic, because obviously CM Punk has signed with this company. Bryan Danielson has signed with this company. We've seen a lot of very big signings. That being said, Swerve coming in is like maybe top 3 in terms of excitement for me. I want this man to be like AEW World Champion, like maybe next. This man, I love Swerve. This guy has it. And again, similar to the CM Punk entrance thing, I like that the people knew his indie chant. Not even, he didn't do the Who's House thing in WWE. They knew. God, I don't know what's happening outside now. We're getting bad weather. But man, this was cool. You didn't have to do too much. But I like where they're just like, we got another one. Here he is. Just keep him coming. Load the roster. I don't care. Where's Cesaro? Bring him out next.
He was that cameraman, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't see this until after the show, but there was a cameraman apparently during the main event who was massive and was wearing a mask, and everyone thought it was going to lead to this big angle at the end of the show, and then nothing ever happened of it.
Camera guy.
And so there was just a big camera guy, but everyone was like, "Oh, the camera guy. It's probably Claudio."
The next match,
Adam Cole, and they just think he's massive.
The next match was a trios match, the sort of nostalgia, fun pop one. It was Darby, Sammy, and Sting taking on Andrade, Matt Hardy, and Isaiah Cassidy. This was really well-placed match in the card, in that it brought people back into it, despite being, we're 4 hours, 15 minutes into this show now. And it was chaos from the start. The two most distinctive spots were a Spanish fly from Sammy Guevara on Isaiah Cassidy off the top of a bit of the Revolution stage through some tables. Good God, that looked dangerous. And the other one was Sting diving off the top of a sort of balcony entranceway bit in the audience like a sack of logs on Andrade through 2 tables stacked on top of each other.
that CM Punk promo when he was saying like apologize. I think we now need to ask you people to apologize to AEW, because every single person, us included, were like, why is this match on the pay-per-view? Oh, why did they put this match on? What a stupid match up on the pay-per-view. And boy, howdy, were we all wrong, because this was awesome. It was so much fun.
Well, I would push back on that, because I don't actually think there's a reason for this to be on the pay-per-view. This could very easily have been a Dynamite main event, like we did get last month with the who was it? 2.0.
Well, against Sting and Darby Allin.
Months ago.
That was
like 6 months ago.
No, when Sting did the dive off the balcony through a table. That was February, January, wasn't it?
That was last night. When he did the
Anyway, this was a really fun match, but it did not need to be on the pay-per-view, in my opinion.
I do. I'm being sort of, I'm doing it for comic effect, but I thought it was a lot of fun. I was actually thinking about, like, do you guys think this might have actually been a better placed after the Britt Baker match? Because like, I know they sort of use this as the buffer between Danielson and Moxley into the main event, but this actually like brought the crowd right back. So if you'd have done this after the Baker Rosa match, they'd have been probably more hyped for the Moxley Danielson, and then the Regal pop would have carried that through into the main event.
Honestly, I don't think you're necessarily wrong. And I think that Danielson and Moxley probably would have benefited from going on a little bit later. I don't think that match would have detracted from the main event very much. And it would be really hard to not pop at every turn for this match. I kind of agree that if this pay-per-view wasn't a million hours long, I probably could say, like, yeah, just put it on the pay-per-view. It's the fun, like, almost falls count anywhere, like, brawl type match that we seem to get on most of these shows, where it's like mix it up a little bit. We got the falls count anywhere match last pay-per-view that was also excellent. It didn't need to be on the pay-per-view. I enjoyed watching it, but like if you're looking down the card at like which one can get cut for time, this would probably be the one. But that being said, you have to set up the debut of the NXT champion.
And apparently it's not this Wednesday. I was
because contracts.
This morning. Yeah, well, I think it's like March 10th, which would be the day after Dynamite.
So that's, of course, Jeff Hardy joining Matt Hardy, because Matt didn't take the pin. Did Matt take the pin in this match?
The pin.
Right.
Yeah.
So he'll probably, leave the HFO, or Andrade will do some kind of hostile takeover nonsense in their staircase office. Hopefully he can get them a better office. Yeah.
Matt Hardy gets a vote of no confidence.
Exactly. That's what I want to see. I want to see the Succession scene with Matt Hardy in that role.
I like this idea, actually. You get Private Party having to vote against Matt Hardy and him being like heartbroken about it.
You better be sniffing your armpit, Isaiah.
The main event was Adam Bowl, which brought all the great chants. We want Adam. Let's go, Adam.
Let's go, Adam. Fight for Adam.
Fight for Adam. Very good. This is Adam. Did we get a This is Adam?
Yeah,
This
chant?
is Adam. Yeah.
Very fun. It was Hangman Page, of course, defending his AEW World title against Adam Cole. It was just sort of like those Cole matches from NXT. It was worked around Hangman Page selling the arm, Cole working over the arm for the buckshot lariat. Really nice story there. Red Dragon came down at one point, and Dark Order ran in as well. No Young Bucks stuff, no Kenny stuff, no Don Callis stuff. So 2 distinct stories. I got the impression that this is the end of the Adam story for now. I don't think we're going to have another match in this series. If there was some Bucks or Callis involvement, I would think otherwise. But they went long enough, and Adam Cole spammed enough finishes, which I don't mind about when it works. I think this did work in this occasion, that I actually thought on a couple of occasions Cole might win, which was, something I did not think going in. I thought it was actually one of the more predictable matches on the card. So credit to them, but Page hit Cole with his own knee and then hit the lariat with the boom to some boos at some point for Hanger.
There was this crowd did seem legit split in terms of people wanting to see Hangman retain and people wanting to see Cole win. And I think those portions, when they realized that Hangman was retaining, were like, oh no, but I want my boy. I want my Adam to win. So especially when he hit him with the boom, it was like, no, boo you, sir.
Are they saying boo or boom? Yeah, I want to give big props to the one Excalibur on this show for this match in particular, because Adam Cole hits the boom and I'm like, no one kicks out of the boom. I don't know if anyone's kicked out of the boom to this point. And then Hangman kicks out and Excalibur immediately is like, he didn't pull the knee pad down. He was trying to keep the momentum going, and everything's going so fast that I didn't recognize that just watching it. I was like, what a great commentator. Just immediately being like, that finisher's not lowered. He didn't get to hit it properly. Brilliant.
I thought you were going to say props to Excalibur because he was there to keep salty, tired JR in check. It was just like, by the end of the show, it was just like, man, am I still here? Come on, JR, cheer up. It's fun.
But yeah, you weren't here earlier, Luke. Now that Hangman seems to have concluded this Cole storyline, who do you think's next for Page?
Well, it's going to be Punk, right? Because Punk, midway through this MJF feud, he essentially said, I've got my eyes on the world title. And this MJF feud almost felt like a number one contenders style thing. MJF can spell into a feud with Wardlow. It sets Punk up. Punk was apparently in the media scrums was saying along the lines of that's why he's setting his sights on next. So yeah, I could see Punk Page being the next match. That for Double or Nothing. I mean, maybe you want to do that for All Out though. If you're gonna give Punk the belt, you want to do that in Chicago, right? All Out's in Chicago, isn't it?
Yeah.
Usually.
Yeah. I don't know this. I'm really, really weary about Hangman and Punk. You gotta almost do it soon because you can only give CM Punk so many things to do before he has to challenge for the top title. But I really want CM Punk to be a heel against Hangman Page. I think those promos I could fantasy book the whole thing, but maybe Hangman Page loses the title. Maybe he goes back to drinking at some point, and then CM Punk can be like, "What are you doing, man? Straight edge? You just sold the straight edge thing." There's just a lot of possibilities there, and I don't know that the double babyface match is the best way to do this match, but I'm sure it would still be great.
Is this because you just want it to be Hook?
Of course, I want it to be Hook. Hook needs to be AEW World Champion. See, I can't just say that. I need to do the 20-minute preamble.
No, it's okay, Thomas. We haven't got time for that. You just think that Hook should win the world title. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's what we'll leave it with.
Full stop.
What would you both give the show out of 5?
6.
Yeah,
6.
5.
Let's see what
Show
the SWAF Nation thought. Surprisingly, you know what? It's not 76% is overwhelming, but we have had AEW shows where it's been even higher. 17% for 4 out of 5, 4% for 3 out of 5, 1% for 2, 2% for 1 off of 6.3 thousand votes. I have gone with 92% for this show. It's too long.
Yeah, maybe.
There's a reason Raw is down on the scale. It's because it's 3 hours most weeks. If it was a 2-hour show, it'd be higher.
I would say
if Raw was good, it wouldn't bother me that much.
Yeah, I would say this didn't feel like a nearly 4-hour show.
I disagree. I think it very much did.
I thought this flew by, really. Like there was a period of time when I realized there was only like 3 matches left, and I was like, "Oh wow!"
The crowd actively died.
No, I know the crowd actively died. I'm not disagreeing with that, but like I'm saying, for me personally, I thought it was a breeze to watch.
Well, we had a 45 sleepy minutes after MJF Punk.
It's because it was 3 a.m.
Yeah, I think I feel it regardless. We've got loads of chats to get through, so let's get to those. Rosa says, "This is incredible. Ollie never changed. Haha. CM Punk and MJF was intense and so wonderful. Loved it so much. And Wardlow, you beautiful bastard. I still can't get over William Regal. I'm still shocked. CM Punk in the scrum was emotional. Happy Tony Khan bought Ring of Honor." Rosa continues, "I can't wait until being the elite. I would love it to be an hour. I'm not complaining about the length of the show if it's exceptional quality like this. Americans complaining about the time shouldn't come here to Australia or be there with you in the UK. Hashtag thank you AEW. Oh, because it's different time zones. And Rosa again, really need those trios titles. So hyped for trios matches now. They do them so good. So excited for Double or Nothing. Huge crowd there. I need a huge stadium show for these guys. ASAP. Jericho looking 5 years younger now. Damn. Sting, you incredible man."
I reckon once Kenny's back, the trios titles are coming in very soon. Like they've set up a lot of 3-man teams recently.
Yeah.
Bored Dude 630, "Here's a $5 for angry dad Regal coming home after being fired after a hard day of work and seeing his kids fighting each other at home, then putting them in their place." The Guilty Hat, "I don't know what I'm more excited for after last night. Wardlow versus MJF for the TNT title, Papa Regal and his violent sons running the show, our champion Hangman continuing to defend in other people's match styles, or the Adam Cole boyfriend drama." It's Regal for me.
My favorite description of William Regal was Bix, who said that he's going to be the Charles Xavier of like the school for gifted violent children.
I like that a lot.
The Bad One, Jam Beard, "Colder Personality is the better song and better entrance, but his ROH theme with AFI and the gear and it being him one-upping MJF was absolutely perfect." Michaela Traub, "Another super fun pay-per-view in the books. I'll admit, I was a bit annoyed that Tony waved that clipboard and we could clearly see Swerve in bold on it. That's okay, though. We knew already. I did love Eddie's little skippy handshake dance towards Jericho. Jade looks so good lately. I was really hoping for a Rosa win, but she can get it in 2 weeks. That was my only wrong pick. Also, all the Wardlow, all the time. Had a real blast with my friends last night. Even the buy-in was baller. Love you guys." Jack Wivel, "First time Omega chatter. This is the first pay-per-view I've ever bought, and although I was a little let down after letting it simmer, I was very satisfied with the show. Dog collar match dragged a little bit, in my opinion, but still brilliant. Kingston and Regal, the best parts."
I mean, I can't say that I agree with the criticism of the dog collar match, but it's an opinion.
Certainly is.
Nicholas Lama, "Does Regal Goon take on the Nightmare family for ownership of the school?" Yes. Regal getting in the face of Mox and getting his blood on him was the Regal I love and miss. So happy to see him. Do they try and recruit Hook?
Hook. Well, yeah, but you can't get away from Team Taz. Team Taz is a family. Like, literally, they are, like, part of them a family.
Zoe sung, "Mox and Brian did the kicks together and I lost my mind. Oh, the seated steppers when they were down on the floor and they were just booting each other in the head." I remember now. Also, fighting game community. "Women's new belt looks so good. I hated the old title. Looked like a Barbie toy. Hated it. Yeah, they got a new women's title and a new men's title, according to JR.
Apparently, someone said it is slightly bigger So I guess it is a new world title. Apparently the tag titles were also slightly bigger. But yeah, that new women's title is so much better. A vast improvement.
Zoe continues, also never forget, Taz gets mad in an amazing way, love him, when people make orange a part of their shirts or gimmicks. Taz getting mad at the sky for being blue is the best comedy. I giggle snort when he goes off, then goes back to commentating. Jack Lemon, I went to see this in my local theatre. It was so much fun. I hope they do it again. I was wearing my new William Regal shirt last night, so I feel like I manifested him to the pay-per-view. Jake Lemon has actually chatted that in twice. Juan Villa says, Tempest, did you really get pulled over by Chicago police with your mask on while you were here for All Out? Did they actually know who you were?
Did the Chicago cops know who I was? No, I did not. I was not. I'll be honest, wasn't wearing this mask. I was wearing a mask because I'm a good COVID person. But the Chicago police did in fact not know who Tempest of WrestleTalk was.
It's a big wrestling town, Chicago. Surprising.
Yeah.
They'll know me. Anson Reinhardt, first time Ultra Chat here. Got to watch Revolution at a movie theater last night. Few people have gone to see them in the theaters. And sleeping because I have my birthday off today. Keep up the amazing work, you guys, and jam that jam. Happy birthday, Anson.
Happy birthday.
Monday, fantasy booking. El Fakador returns to join LIW. Wrestle Jamia is a triple threat, winner takes all, with Pete versus Ollie versus Luke. Fakador and Tempest turn on Pete, costing him his championship. What y'all think? I've already made a match card for you.
I mean, Tempest, you're the one who's got the beef with Pete currently.
LIW is fine, Luke. Don't sow dissension.
I mean, it would be
Luke's
fine
the
if you
champion.
had the real champion.
All right.
This guy. Charles Berg. And once again, AEW puts out a top-notch pay-per-view. Can't really say anything that probably hasn't been touched on, so I hope everybody in the chat, the wonderful moderators, and you two sweet boys, well, 3 now, had some delicious food and a nice weekend.
Can confirm. Shout out to the mods. You all are wonderful.
Tyler Robinson, being a developer for the AEW video game must be frustrating. They were probably almost done. Then Tony Khan added more wrestlers and bought a whole new promotion. It's the opposite problem with 2K. Maybe they could buy the character designs off 2K.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's why it's been delayed for like a year. Like, it'll be out in 2022. They're like, oh no, I've signed 80 new people. I was like, oh, well, God dang it.
Nerfair 3. When Jade came out as Jade, my bisexual sister literally screamed, oh my God, she's so hot, and then completely lost her mind when she kissed Tay Conti. Calm down, Nerfair's sister. Honestly. Who would get excited about that?
I was going to say, Ollie was not like, he was like, it's Jade versus Ty, whatever. I mean, within, I'd say, 30 seconds of that match starting, he was like, match of the night.
It's match of the night, match of the year. Meng, I want to see Pac challenge Hangman's title, paying off the first match of the promotion that you saw, Luke, live. Of course, in WrestleGate Pro. But he's stuck in the House of Black feud unless they pull out the triple threat Pac versus Malachi versus Hangman parallel Omega title run from Double or Nothing last year. Oh my God, a Pac versus Malachi Black versus Hangman Page 3-way.
Sounds very fun.
Ollie the Quaxley says, Ollie, do you as Tempest does believe in the heart of the cards?
Ollie, do you believe in the heart of the cards?
I don't know what's happening.
It's Braun Breaker, the Magical Warrior.
Oh, I've seen this.
Yeah.
Why is it the heart of the cards?
Because when you believe in the heart of the cards, you get anime protagonist power and you win everything.
No, I don't. On a more serious note, last night was the very first pay-per-view I bought, and although I enjoyed it, I don't think I'll be buying off of Bleacher Report Sports again. It was terrible. Jam that jam and peen that
I've
peen.
heard bad things. I heard there were troubles last night with Bleacher Report.
Mm.
I was going to say we had 0 issues with Fight.
Yeah, just a horrible chat section. Danny G, what a fantastic pay-per-view. Can't think of another show with so much progression and interest heading out of it and not a single title change. That's a good point. No titles changed hands. Just brilliant storytelling all round. Oh, yeah. And William Regal, that would have been the price of admission alone. I think All Out last year had significantly more interest coming out of it.
Yes, yeah.
There's probably recency bias there, Danny. Andrew, the Last Airbender. Am I the only one that felt weird about the Jade kiss thing? Gave me Ric Flair, Becky Lynch vibes. What was the Ric Flair, Becky Lynch vibes?
Ric Flair forcibly kissed Becky Lynch at like the Royal Rumble in like 2016, I think, when she wrestled Charlotte, and everyone was like, you can't do that. Because, yeah, an old man should not be forcibly kissing a young woman. That's not good, you know.
But Tay did it back later. So it's like, it's just revenge for a...
They're just really aggressively flirting.
Also, should Lee have won? Yes, I might just have Keith Lee blindness, but now I'm worried for what's next. Did Wardlow need it for the MJF story? Still 5 out of 5, though.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
The storyline beat of Wardlow winning the TNT Championship and having to hand it over to MJF because that's part of his contract is such a better story than Keith Lee just winning a ladder match and winning a belt.
Yeah.
Nay less. I'm still hyped from last night. I don't have much of a voice, but worth it. Was sitting just below the suite where some of the wrestlers were, and it was fun to see them enjoying the show just as much as the fans. What a great weekend all around. Cameron Anderson. Watch Revolution in a movie theater again last night, about half full, a smattering of claps here and there for various spots, but the biggest pop came from Wardlow being the worst best man. 4 hours flew by faster than Luke's love of Avatar. Love the show, boys.
Luke, do you love Avatar?
The film is better than the anime. I think it's an opinion that everyone holds.
Naturally.
Nate S. When we got to the trios tornado match, people around me were talking like, okay, we can catch our breath and recharge for the title match. Holy shit! Is there all killer, no filler show a bold strategy? I loved it, but it's hard to maintain.
When you go to roster,
yeah. I think we kind of just talked about it like at the beginning of the show. Like it's the emotional roller coaster that they take people on with the really emotional matches. Because I thought Full Gear was like a fantastic stacked show with like 10 straight 4-star matches or better. And I didn't think the crowd really ever got burnt out for that.
Manuel Cifuentes says, hey there, amigos. Another great show, well worth my $50. Little nitpick, like you said, Ollie, these pay-per-views need to be at least under 4 hours with the pre-show, so a 3-hour main card. Just like the old WWF pay-per-views, 1 hour of heat, and then just under 3 hours of pay-per-view. Keep up the great work. I agree. Will Campbell, hey guys, loved the show last night. The whole CM Punk versus MJF match was nothing short of enthralling, including the entrances. Also, probably one of my favorite moments of the night was when Remsburg saw Regal's face and scampered for cover. Didn't notice that.
I didn't either. I gotta go back and see that.
Dex Baker, I watched this reactions on a 30-second delay behind the pay-per-view, waiting for you guys to see Regal was the moment of the night.
Oh, so cute.
We popped big. Ray Slover, AEW is just a t-shirt company that puts on a wrestling show as a side hustle. Also, why the Dark Order still supporting Hangman? Since he's won the title, he's basically ignored them. He even said in a promo he's been a terrible friend.
Because they love him.
Yeah.
And they're the supportive friends.
And finally, J.S. Wooten, the power of being a DAD. You can sit through a 5-hour show and it just flies by without a lull. I don't know what show Ollie was watching, but the crowd never hit a lull. They endured because it's not long, it's special. Only 4 a year. They have to be.
I disagree on that. I think you can hear the lull in the crowd. It did happen.
It's audible. Like you can. It's not like, oh well, the crowd died. Or where did it die? Somewhere. No, it's right there. Point to it's right there.
I can literally pinpoint it.
Right there.
You can pinpoint the moment his heart breaks in two.
that is all the chats. Thank you, everybody, for sending those in. And thank you, everybody, for joining us here today and watching the live reactions. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the WrestleTalk podcast. Got the Raw review tomorrow, NXT review on Wednesday, AEW Dynamite review to see the fallout from this show on Thursday, and so much more afterwards. And of course, check out our amazing sponsors, Wrestling GM. It's a fantasy booking wrestling game universe on iOS and Android. The link is in the video description below. But for now, I've been Ollie Davis. That's been Tempest. Your new Jam That Champion, Luke Owen DAD. Jam That Jam.